Imagine a world where the Roman Empire didn't crumble into dust, where the fall of 476 AD never happened, no Dark Ages, no medieval fragmentation, no feudal serfs bent under the yoke of petty lords. Picture an unbroken colossus stretching from the misty cliffs of Britannia to the sun-scorched deserts of Syria, a single banner flying over continents, SPQR, forever. In our timeline, political rot, economic crises, and invading tribes smashed Rome apart. But in this alternate history, everything changed at one decisive moment. Emperor Aurelian's heirs embraced sweeping reforms, crushing corruption and welding East and West into one steel-fisted state. They reined in runaway elites, opened the Senate to provincial talent, and turned the army into a professional meritocracy. Borders were fortified with concrete and iron, not hope. The imperial treasury poured gold into roads, aqueducts, and massive public granaries. Instead of watching flames devour their civilization, Romans doubled down, and won. By 500 AD, the empire had not only survived but surged. Steam-driven mills and water turbines dotted its provinces 2 centuries early. Bureaucrats catalogued every farm, vineyard, and workshop on wax tablets that eerily resembled spreadsheets. Literacy, once the privilege of patricians, spread to shepherds in the Alps and fishermen in Africa. Gladiators still fought in arenas, but now their bouts were broadcast via polished bronze, mirror screens, primitive precursors to live television powered by clever optics. Rome's legions evolved into something closer to modern special forces, disciplined, lavishly equipped, and loyal to an unassailable central authority. They patrolled not only frontiers but city streets, a hybrid of army and police ensuring that rebellion never dared flicker. Order was absolute, and dissent, when it surfaced, was crushed with terrifying efficiency. Yet people were proud, even euphoric. They believed they lived at the apex of history, under a government destined to last 1,000 millennia. The eagle was eternal, they said, and the barbarians beyond the Rhine. Mere folklore told to frighten children. Would you thrive in such a world of unyielding stability, or would the iron embrace of an undying empire suffocate you? Forget the smoky huts and grim castles of our real medieval era. In this alternate timeline, there were no Dark Ages. By the year 1000, Rome's dominion looked like a planetary capital before space travel even existed. Marble highways stitched together Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Massive aqueducts fed fountains in villages so remote that, in our reality, they were still scratching out survival. Science became a religion in itself. Imperial academies, funded by endless taxes, churned out philosophers who argued over steam propulsion, chemistry, and even the possibility of mechanical flight. Libraries as large as stadiums sprawled in every provincial hub, stocked with scrolls and bound volumes, none burned, none lost. Without the centuries-long pause of ignorance, technology sprinted forward. By the 12th century, Romans were experimenting with primitive electricity and crude engines. The army, once content with spears and swords, embraced steel crossbows, armored war wagons, and flame-throwing ships patrolling the Mediterranean. Their police counterparts, called the custodes urbis, patrolled alleys with lanterns powered by pressurized gas, stamping out crime before it bloomed. Order wasn't just valued, it was sacred. Entertainment, meanwhile, fused tradition with futuristic spectacle. Gladiators no longer fought to the death, well, usually, instead, choreographed combat merged with theater, acrobatics, and music. Immense amphitheaters were upgraded with retractable glass roofs and acoustics so refined that whispers carried to the highest seats. Chariot races became high-speed tournaments on magnetic rails, a mind-bending fusion of NASCAR and the Colosseum. Clothing followed suit. Citizens wore flowing togas woven with metallic threads, shimmering like liquid sunlight. Peasants, or rather, modest taxpayers, since slavery and serfdom had been abolished by enlightened emperors, wore comfortable tunics dyed in every color imaginable, thanks to synthetic pigments developed centuries ahead of schedule. But not everything glittered. Beneath the marble and silk, the empire demanded conformity. Religion was carefully curated by state priests. Even Christianity had evolved into a bureaucratic faith, stripped of rebellious prophets and merged with traditional Roman rites. Festivals were mandatory, but so was loyalty. Anyone whispering of republicanism or independence risked disappearing into one of the empire's re-education villas, never to return. The Middle Ages, as we know them, never dawned. Instead, humanity marched under the same imperial banner, convinced that history had ended, that progress and Rome were one and the same. Fast forward to the 21st century of this unbroken Rome, and brace yourself, the globe is one vast imperium mundi. No United Nations, no patchwork of rival nations, just provinces and megacities feeding reports to a single senate housed in a colossal domed palace on the Tiber. Senators wear robes laced with microchips, allowing them to summon holographic charts with a flick of the wrist. The Roman army has mutated into an intercontinental force of drones, exosuited soldiers, and orbital guardians. Its emblem, the eagle clutching a lightning bolt, adorns ships that patrol not only seas but also the stratosphere. Police, or custodes publici, watch every street through crystal-clear surveillance orbs, ensuring a crime rate so low it seems mythical, unless you're on the receiving end of their ruthlessness. Privacy. A laughable relic. Science is an unstoppable torrent. The Empire colonized Mars in the 1980s, with banners of crimson and gold fluttering in the thin Martian breeze. Space elevators pierced the clouds over Alexandria and Ravenna, transporting goods between Earth and orbital stations. Medicine has banished most diseases. Roman bioengineers even tinker with extending lifespans beyond 150 years. Yet this bounty comes with strings. Genetic enhancements require imperial approval, and dissenters are denied access to miraculous cures. Culture is a strange fusion of opulence and regimentation. Citizens binge on gladiatorial sports, where cyber gladiators duel in immersive arenas broadcast through neural headsets. Music is a sonic empire of its own, blending ancient lyres with digital synths in massive festivals staged inside repurposed amphitheaters. Fashion is still obsessed with the toga, now a sleek garment embedded with sensors, capable of shifting colors to match the wearer's mood. Economy. A marvel of central planning. Taxes are universal and steep, but in return every citizen enjoys marble-paved housing, guaranteed bread rations, and access to virtual libraries containing all accumulated human knowledge. The price is obedience. Algorithms monitor social loyalty scores. One poorly phrased remark about the emperor on the empire-wide forum could cost you your career or your travel rights. Even religion bows to bureaucracy. The cultus universalis blends Roman pantheon pageantry with sanitized fragments of other faiths, administered by AI augurs. Spirituality is polished, comforting, and completely state-approved. It's a breathtaking utopia for those willing to kneel, and a suffocating machine for anyone craving freedom. Would you trade democracy for gleaming order, for a world where potholes don't exist but rebellion is unthinkable? So here we stand, citizens of an empire that never knew dusk. Streets gleam with polished marble, aqueducts the size of skyscrapers pump crystalline water across continents. There is no chaos of borders, no endless wars between petty kings. The eternal empire feeds, heals, entertains, and even launches its people to the stars. At first glance, it feels like humanity's jackpot: order, prosperity, immortality. But look closer and the cracks are there, hairline yet dangerous. Absolute stability is also absolute control. Every child's education is scripted, every feast pre-approved, every innovation vetted by bureaucrats who answer only to the emperor's algorithms. The idea of personal destiny is quaint folklore, like the barbarian hordes that never came. Without collapse, there was no rebirth; without challenge, no renaissance. Would art still dare to be rebellious if patrons in ivory togas censored anything too unpredictable? Would philosophy thrive if the ultimate truth had been proclaimed 2 millennia ago and dissent filed as treason? Even technology, unstoppable as it seems, could stagnate under the weight of an empire that values safety over risk. Maybe we'd have colonies beyond Jupiter, or maybe we'd still be perfecting more efficient bread ovens, proud of our marble kitchens. So ask yourself, in a world where the Roman eagle casts its shadow across not centuries but eternity, would you feel proud to wear the toga, or desperate to tear it off and breathe free air, even if that meant plunging civilization into chaos? Is an undying empire humanity's greatest triumph, or its most seductive cage? That's the paradox of this, what if? Rome might have spared us the misery of dark centuries, but it could also have smothered the sparks of individuality that made the modern world possible. Maybe collapse isn't always disaster, sometimes it's the seedbed of reinvention. Now it's your turn. Would you embrace the iron security of an empire that never ends, or fight to break it, even at the cost of disorder? Drop your take in the comments, and don't stop there. Suggest the next, what if, topic you want us to explore.